Hello, and welcome. Whether or not you're plasterboarding the roof of your kitchen or doing something even more fun than that. I'm Kevin, and we're going to be exploring a little bit of React Native, and exploring sort of building some applications. I've got a to-do list about building a to-do list because that's what we're going to start with, and I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. I've done a little bit of development with React Native, helping with small features or helping projects move forward. I've done quite a lot of React development, and I've always been curious about being able to push my React Native skills a bit further. And I'm working for a work. I'm working on a workshop that I'm going to be delivering for some clients in September, October time. So the idea is to sort of build with React Native as if I know nothing about it. And while I do that, I'll be thinking about where I'm getting stuck. I'll be thinking about things that are challenging or surprising or delightful in the experience as I kind of work my way through it. Um, Also, I'm my target audience are likely to be React developers, people who are confident in JavaScript and potentially confident in React as well. And so, while I will touch on some of the React concepts we will touch on as we build this project, there I will sort of assume a certain level of knowledge with React. Um, so that's kind of where we're at. I'm assuming. So my, if you're here, who am I talking to? I know I've got a few people in the chat, but who I'm aiming this at are sort of developers who've got some developing experience, who want to try their hand at native development and want to use and leverage their React skills to kind of get them to a point where that's at. So we're going to go through this to-do list. We're going to set up a project. We're going to see about viewing it on our phone. We're going to look at styling some components and some developer menu stuff, and then we'll build some stuff. I'm not quite sure how far we're going to get. I'm cutting off at 4. So this will be an hour long of your life, but I'm hoping to be able to do a couple more of these in the coming weeks to be able to explore this and to dive a little bit deeper. Cool. So that's where we're going, and that's where we're at. So let's think about what we're doing. So we are going to be building using Expo. Now, for anyone, if you're not sure, Expo is a way built with React Native. Unlike it's a managed workflow. So in my mind, it's a bit like Create React app for React Native apps, with even slightly more management around that. You can do so. There's the why choose Expo, and there's something in here. Um, I saw earlier on. I was looking at this and I saw a really nice diagram that I now can't find, which is basically saying, hey, look, there's lots you can do with Expo, but most importantly, Expo won't lock you in. Okay, so if it gets to a point where Expo, where you feel like, oh, this isn't great, I need to do something that's not here, then Expo you need to eject from. So what can't you do with Expo? So there's that sort of it is managed. So that means there's some you can only use modules that are kind of in the Expo ecosystem. They cover almost everything that you need to be able to do, but you can't use your own modules, say. You can't manage to explore other things that are there. You can deploy from Expo with a free tier, but that can be there's a queue sometimes to be able to get it built, to be able to get it deployed, and where's limitations. Not all of the iOS and Android APIs are available. Most of them are. But if you come across an API that you want to use specifically with iOS, then that's probably not. This is probably not what you want to do. I really want to see that diagram that I had earlier. It was really handy. I can't seem. Maybe if I look up here, is it gonna? No. Anyway. it's good anyway. Okay, so Expo is kind of what we're going to aim at, and it's really good for people who have got development experience but don't maybe have native experience, because you can do everything in JavaScript and TypeScript. You don't need to do anything in Java or in Swift. So you can do it all in the box, and you don't need to even have Android Studio or Xcode up and running to be able to do that. So it's super handy for that. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to get a terminal ready, and we'll get that ready to go. So I'm going to just create a new directory. On my green screen really likes it when I've got a black background. It likes it less when I don't. So I'm going to do a new directory, and I'm just going to I think I've got one called streaming. I don't, so let's do that. So mkdir streaming and cd into that. That's bigger. Cool. So the first thing I'll do is I'm using Node version 18.7, and I'm going to install with npm globally Expo CLI. So this is the command line tool that's going to let me be able to initialize projects, be able to build things out, and be able to explore things that are there. Okay. And the other thing I'll do while that's downloading, on my phone, I'm using an Android device, and on my phone, I've downloaded Expo Go. Okay, so there's a Android and Apple app called Expo Go, and what that allows you to do is when your application is has been built and is running in dev mode, you're going to be able to run it on your phone. And it does hot module reloading. So when you find yourself saving files on your computer, your phone restarts, which I think is just magic. For me anyway, it feels very magic-y. I'll just make sure that Expo installed. Okay, so apparently it hasn't been tested against Node 18. So if we do have problems, then we'll use MVM to change ourselves down to something earlier. Okay, so I'm going to use npx to create Expo app, much like create React app, create Expo app, and there's going to be a to-do list, because who doesn't love developing a to-do list? I mean, the reality is that to-do lists show CRUD functionality, and I'm going to start off initially with it all being locally based, and then depending upon when we have time, if we have time this stream or another stream, we'll look at being able to read it from an API instead. Let me just move that out of the way so you can see. So it says CD into it. You can run Android, you can run iOS, and you can run web. Get the different versions. So I'm going to CD into to-do list. And I'm going to run, if I look at the code here, I can see that I've got an app.js, I've got a config, I've got a package.json. So the npm start is going to do Expo start. So I'm going to do that. So npm start. And one of the many things it does is it prints out this lovely QR code into my terminal. And what I'm able to do is I'm able to grab my phone. On Android, there's a scan. There's a scan code. I think I read something today that suggested that that's not true for Apple. And what that's done is it says new update available downloading. So it's downloading a copy of the code on my phone. We need another camera for my phone. That's really bad. You can't really see anything on there. All it has is a single line of text. You can see if I hold it sideways, it's got a single line of text that just says open up app.js to start working on your app. So that's what's being rendered here. Open up app.js to start working on your app. Okay. So that's pretty cool. We've got our application and we're kind of there and ready to start. This to-do list is in an annoying place. Let me move it. If I move it slightly there, then I can just dodge out of the way when we need it. So setting up a project, we did npx install with the right create Expo app, and we're going to think about a little bit now about trying to build with it. Okay. So just a quick thing about styling, which we'll see this a little bit more. If you are familiar with styled components, this will feel somewhat familiar in that we're passing in, we have a styles constant, and then we're taking the bit of the styles constant that we need for our particular part of the component tree. Now, React Native feels like web development in a lot of ways, in that it uses CSS, but it doesn't use style sheets. So we can't import a CSS. We can't keep our code in that kind of way. Instead, we use this style sheet, the export from React Native that we then create, which has a create method, and we pass in an object. And that can be a nested object of styled components, of things we want to style. And then we destructure or use the particular part that we need inside of our component. You see, just having a look here, we've got a view. Now that's equivalent in React terms to a div. So where we see views, we're saying that this is a div. So it's slightly more semantic probably than a div, but it's kind of the same kind of thing. It takes props in much the same way that other React elements do. There are lots of components that come with React Native, and text is one of them. And there are several others. So we just let's have a look at all the React Native components to see React Native base components. So the core components. So there's quite a lot of them. So view, it's most fundamental, so it's like a div. Text component, an image component, text input component, so we're getting input from our text. A scroll view, so we're able then to scroll up and down. It handles the scroll, it handles the touch events and all the things that need to go with that. And the style sheet that we've seen that we generate there. We also have buttons and switches, other types of views, which we'll see. And then there are a few, there are some platform specific base components. So we have sort of for Android, you've got drawers and permissions and toasts. And for iOS, there's this action sheet iOS, which exposes some of the functionality of UIKit, which allows us to do that. And then there are other components that we could use that don't come up as often, but they are there. And actually, lots of these come up a lot. So activity indicators, status bar, modals, so that sort of overview, sort of popover, overlay type thing going on, linking between other outside of our apps. And so there's lots of things that are kind of built in that we're going to be able to use as we build our application. Okay, so we've got our app. And what we kind of want to do is build our to-do list. So let's have a little think about what that might look like in sort of components. So I guess we'll have some kind of heading. And we'll probably then have an input to be able to type in a new to-do. We'll then have the to-do list, which is going to render all of the to-dos that we know about. We might have, we'll have a button to submit, but that might be with the input. We'll work that out in a second, but we'll leave a button down here. And then we might at the bottom have like a tab bar where we can flick between the, completed or uncompleted or still to do, something like that. Okay, so there's kind of the components that we're going to try to build, and we'll see how far, as I say, we'll see how far we get with that. So I'll just create a components directory, and inside of there I'll create a file for each of these. So we've got heading.js, and again, I am going to code this in JavaScript for now, rather than TypeScript, which I think I prefer, but I figured let's have one less piece of complexity. So we've got input, we need to-do list.js, button.js, and tabbar.js. Cool. And I'm just from each of these, I'm just going to export as default a function, which is just named tabbar. and it'll just return a view, which for my money is the same as returning a div in other React contexts. Now, it's interesting to think about other React contexts because there are, I mean, as well as the web and native, we can use React to be able to develop in lots of different platforms. So it can deploy to the command line. There are components that allow us to deploy to the command line, which is pretty cool. We can, I'm just going to import all of these. We can obviously do to the web. We can to the console. Where else can we deploy with React? Quite a lot of seemingly random places that we could do. Effectively, React is good and made to be able to handle UI. So if you can define your UI, then we're doing okay. So I see. So I've got an error on my phone about what's going on. So let me see if I can see that error on here. So there is a version of the React developer tools. I'm going to have a look in here, see what we can see. So this console is the same as the console that's reflecting my this console is, sorry, what am I trying to say? This console is basically what my React Native app is sending back. So any console logs are going to appear in this browser window, which is pretty neat to be able to do that. So it says view config getter callback from component div must be a function received undefined. So I think that means that I need to put a text component inside each of these. So let me just which one's it complaining about? So it's complaining about them all. Heading is not defined. I fixed that, so it's clear. If I clear these, oops, and refresh my app, see what happens. So I save. Yeah. So the first complaint I'm getting doesn't tell me which component it's from. So I'm just going to stick a text hello in there. What I'm wondering is if I'm not allowed a view inside of a view, but I think I am. I don't think that's. I'm pretty sure I'm allowed a view inside of a view. So I'm just going to go through and do this text. Hello from tab bar. Text. Hello from input. Hello from to-do list component. Text. Capital T. Text. Hello from heading. I keep glancing down at my phone because every time I save here, my phone refreshes, which is pretty sweet. And hello, oops, text. Hello from button. And let's put that in there. Okay, it says text strings must be rendered within a text component. It's odd. I thought I was doing exactly that. Text string must be rendered, created by heading. Oh well. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll pluck them off a component at a time. So we'll just look at this heading component rather than trying to work out everything else. Okay, so in this heading component, I just want to say to do. So what I want to have here. So it's going to have a view. It's going to have some text inside it, and it's just going to say to dos. I'm still getting that same error. How can I show my errors here in a helpful way so that you're seeing them when I'm seeing them? Text strings must be rendered within a text component, but they are. I tell you, they are. So over here, we just have the heading. Fine. over here, our heading. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Let me go to heading. My heading is a text component. I see a problem. So my view and my text should be coming from React Native, not React Native Web. Okay, so that is now working. That is now working. Oh, it does say hello from, again, hello from heading. Okay. So the problem was where I was importing it from. It was being imported from React Native Web, which I don't know anything about. So let's just go say to-dos. I'm going to give some styling down below. So let's create constant styles. And it's going to be from style sheet from React Native. And it's going to create some styles for that. Let's move that over there so it's easier to see. Okay, so yeah, it'd be nicer to see my phone, wouldn't it? So how can I think to open it on Android, I need to install, which I don't have, so it's Christ. To be able to see them locally, you'll need to install Android Studio and Xcode to be able to see those individual devices. And obviously Xcode only works on Mac devices. So for now, I'm just going to have to deal with not being able to see my phone, but that's a good learning for me. So I can make sure that I find a way to show that better. So I'll set my header to margin top, and I'll pass that style up to the view, style equals styles.header. And I'll also pass in some for the header text. So this is equivalent to kind of class names rather than anything else. It's just sort of a variable reference to be able to exit. So I'm going to align the text to the center. I'll set the font size to 72. I'll set the background color. I'm borrowing from another developer, and because my design skills are far from good. Definitely a point of development for me. Set the color to that kind of browny color, and I'll put it in bold-ish and set that to 100. So now I'll set the style to, and interpolate that to styles.header text. Cool. Reload. Cool. So that looks a little bit better. If I do this for a second, then does that work any better? Not very much better, but you can kind of see this nice big to-dos in the middle. Oh, very dark in there. There you go. I think that's a little bit better. Okay, so that's one component finished of our many components today. So we go back here, we have our app, we've done our heading, and the next thing we want to do is we want to be able to, what do we want to do? We kind of want to be able to add each of these other things, but our view we want to be able to scroll things inside of this. So I'm going to add a scroll view from React Native. It's just going to wrap all of our child components, everything that we want there. So everything's going to scroll inwards. If you wanted the heading to remain static, we'd move that above the scroll view. But I kind of wanted everything to kind of scroll as I move up. So I'm going to what am I going to do? My phone's locked. So what that's had the benefit of doing, oops, which you can't see, is it moves to-dos right to the top rather than the center of the screen. So now everything's at the top. We're going to be, as more stuff appears here, we'll be able to scroll it up and down. So let me just add a whole load of headings in and save it. So now, now I can scroll up and down. Now the scroll bar is a bit annoying. It's over there. So let's see what we can do to fix that scroll bar. So we're going to pass some content, some style in here. So let's put some style. Let's call this styles.content. We need to be able to define that. So let's see. So what I'll do for that, so when we're styling with React Native, we are using CSS, but we're using Flexbox for the most part, not Grid. So Grid doesn't exist yet. So I'll put this as a slightly less than white, so a slightly off-white for the background color. And for the content, I'm going to do just a flex of 1 and a padding top of 60. Okay, so having removed those other bits, I now have a nicer scroll bar experience. I'm trying to twist it. So there. So scrolling up and down, and the scroll bar is right over at the side of the screen there. Cool. Okay, we only actually want one heading, but we just put all those in to be able to see the scroll view. So that's us achieved that goal. Okay. It's a scrollable view component. Alrighty. So we've kind of done a little bit of styling, not an awful lot. The next thing we could do is the input. So let's do the input next. Oops, not like that though. Okay, so let's have a look at input. That's going to complain immediately because this is coming from React Native Web and not React Native. And if we have a look now, it does say hello from input. That's what that text there says. It says hello from input. Okay, so what do we want in here? Well, we want it to be able to, we're going to use, instead of a text, we're going to use a text input, which is a component from React Native. And we'll make that a self-closing tag, and we'll add some props. We'll give it a style, which we're going to need to define, which we need to define in the bottom. Let's do that. So const styles equals style sheet from React Native dot create, passing in the object, and the first key we want is going to be input. So we're going to style that in a second. What else do we want? Let's have a placeholder. This might just be like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? We'll have maybe a placeholder text color. So what color do we want that to be? So maybe like a darker gray. And we can also have a selection color. So it styles the cursor. So we do selection color and do that. Lots of that. Okay, so now I can see here, I've got, as I've clicked inside of there, I get my keyboard. It's not really helpful for you, but I'm able to move it around and be able to see it. So let's give this some, it's right over at the side, so let's give it a margin left of about 20. So yeah. So to do for this definitely is to set up a secondary camera so I can be able to see my my mobile refreshing. Let's see if I can manage that for next time. Margin right 20. So give it some sides. Let's give it a shadow opacity of 0.2. Okay, I want to put a bit of a shadow on it. So I'll do a shadow radius then of maybe 3, and we'll set the shadow color to white. Okay, and give it a width. So shadow offset rather of a width of 2 and a height of 2. Width of 2, height of 2. Okay, so it's hard to see that much on my screen, but it looks okay. Even harder to see it on the stream, but that's okay. So that's what I want to put on the container for this. So let's stick that on. Let's call that style for the styles dot input container. And let's do, instead of what I'd said for the input itself, let's just give it a height of 60. Okay, it's looking a little bit better. Background color of maybe like all the Fs. And some padding, some internal left and right padding of about 10. And padding right, about 10. Okay, so it's starting like, you can kind of still, even with that view, it looks a little, it looks a little bit tastier. Looking a little bit tastier. Oh, I think the problem is my camera's also trying to be clever and show what's there. Okay, so I've got my input and it's in my component, and that's all well and good. Okay, but actually I kind of want my input to be able to receive and to have some data involved. So inside of my app component, I'm going to create a a text input, text and set text from react.useState, and it's going to default to an empty string. And then we'll pass those into our input. So we'll have our text will be text, and our set text will be set text. Now I'm just going to do this with passing in our components. We're only going to have one layer. I want the data to be on this top layer, so I want to post it. Hey Zach, good to see you. When was that? I don't know when. And oh, hello Bruno as well. Wow, lots of people. I don't know if you're. I think they've just arrived, those messages. If they haven't, if you've been here for ages, I'm sorry. But here, well, welcome. Cool. What are we doing? So we are building our Expo app. We've got a slight issue in that I'm seeing cool stuff appearing on my phone. I'm seeing cool stuff appearing on my phone. Oh, I need to import React, otherwise it's going to sadden me. Import React from React. But when I try to show you on here, oh cool, thanks Bruno. Bruno's just arrived, having a break from doing some fun stuff on his phone. When I try to show you on here, on his roof, it kind of doesn't work very well. So on my to-do list is to try to make sure that I set up a secondary camera for the next time I come on here. Which would be cool. So I'm getting live updates on the phone, which is super cool. Every time I save, I'm getting errors when I don't have them. They're appearing on my phone. What I do have though is this React DevTools, which is only at very specific angles is working. So React, this is basically the console for my phone being ported back to my browser, back to my computer again. So I've got some really cool stuff going on, but it's slightly less cool because although I'm seeing it do amazing things every time I save, this amazing to-do app, you can kind of see it here. Although I'm seeing cool things here, a secondary camera would be super handy. So that's on my list of things to improve for next time. So I've got this input. So I'm just doing like any other controlled component for React. I'm going to accept my text and my set text. Actually, I might rename, text and set text. Kind of would prefer these to be called value, but I've done it now. I'm not going to be there. Oh, cool. John, Egghead John? John Lindhurst, yeah? Hopefully. Oh, cool. Yeah, and I know I've seen people with cool streams that like have top down. I know John has his very cool keyboard that's split. I think you have one as well, Zach. But yeah, I'll have a look there. A way to bring back phone screen. Yeah, you can emulate both the Android and the iOS, but you need to have installed Android Studio. And my sort of target audience for this potentially are people who don't want to bother with that and haven't done that just now. So I'm trying to do it without doing that, but you're right. I can emulate it with on my desktop if I had Android Studio installed. But yeah, my target audience is kind of, oh, it's an Apple tool. Oh, cool. Nice. Do you have to install Xcode for it to work, or I don't know. I might look at that in a little bit, but that's really handy to know. I've added that to my list of things to have a look at. Cool. I've got this input. So this is exactly like we'd expect React to be. We set our value to be what we're receiving, and then we have our sort of on change event, which is just going to be take the event and update it in the same way we would for anything else. So when it's updated, we'll take the event and we will set text. Oh, actually, I don't know if it's just, so what I'll do is I'll just console log the event like that and pull up my console here. And I'm just going to start typing into my little box. Oh. My keyboard's not appearing now. It's always helpful. So what I'm hoping to be able to do, that's not working now. So let's see why. Let's get rid of this and see if that's the problem. Yeah. Rid of that as well. Weird. Okay, so I'm having some weird things. It's not that I forget to save with. Nope, that's fine. I'm not using that. That's fine. Actually, maybe I do need that. Let's stick that down at the bottom. Status bar. Okay, so it's letting me paste into my input box, but my keyboard has stopped coming out for some reason. But let's just see what happens. So set value to be text and set text to be set text. Oh, that should be on change rather. On change to be e.setText e. I'm just going to assume it's exactly the same as the web, and then I'll be proved wrong if I'm wrong. So we'll see what's happening. Okay, so if I save that and dark theme. Oh, nice. Reload the app. Oh, my keyboard has come up, which is cool. So let me see if I start typing Hello. Okay, so that's updating on my thing. It's not helpful because I forgot to console log it. So console log E, and that's a cool trick, which I love, which is allows me to be able to console log without changing the behavior I had. Oh, it's or actually. Just allows that to continue. So let's reload the application again, because it didn't seem to reload automatically. So now I'm going to start typing, say Hello. So that looks a lot like a web event, doesn't it? So I bet you has a target. It does, and there's the target. Oh, target is null. Ugh. I think that's because it's synthetic. So if I logged e.target.value, much like we'd do for any kind of web event, and then let's see if I can type more. It's not there. Intriguing. So how do I get that? E.target. Text input, React Native, on change event. Let's have a look. Oh, it's on change text. Is the event I actually care about. So on change text, fine. I can fix that. And then the event is, they're just literally just passing in the function, the set state function. So let's just do that. So set text like that. And if we just stick up here a lovely console log where we just log out text. Who said that logging with console logs a bad thing? Not me. So I start typing HELLO in the chat. Cool. So cool. I'm typing on my phone. It's coming through to the console on my computer. Amazing. Okay, so we have our text input. We have the state that's being captured in the layer above this. So it's being captured in the app layer. Being passed through to the input component, and it's up here so that when I want to create and add to do, it's going to move on down. Okay, so we've got our scroll view. So we've got a view, which in web terms we're thinking it's a div. We've got a scroll view, which is a scrollable div. Inside we've got our heading, which is to-dos. Oh, I know what I could do. I could take a screenshot and share it with myself. Share it with this is annoying. Share it with, where am I going to share it to? Sorry everyone. Yeah, share in there. Okay, so put that off screen. So what I'm going to do now is just have a screenshot of this so you can see what I see. You can see what I see. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So we have a to-dos, this nice brown, and then my text input, which is here. So this is all scrollable. So as this gets longer, it'll all scroll up, and then that's ready to go. So yeah, you definitely need a better setup than taking random screenshots and then firing them up there. Cool. Let's see about, what are we at for time? So I'm stopping at 4, but let's see if we can get the list of to-dos up in the screen, ready to go. So I'm going to do, don't do this, but I'm going to try to do, the idea is this is static and it's all driven by internal app state. We're not reaching out to any third party just yet, but this is hopefully where this is going to go, so we can get full CRUD functionality is kind of where we're aiming for. So let's create a to-dos array. So if we had something like to-dos and set to-dos, it's going to just be a react.useState, and this is just going to be an array filled with to-dos. And then we want a function that's going to create to-dos. So maybe submit to-do is probably better. It's not going to need to take any. It's not going to need to take any parameters because it's just going to use the state that's in current, and it's currently in scope. So that's going to work out well. First, it's going to just check whether or not there's some text there. So if text matches, sort of some kind of, if it basically is, if it's just an empty string. What have I done wrong there? Oh, that should be a caret. Caret. Okay, so it's basically saying if it starts with an empty space and it ends with empty space, and it just so starts with empty space, ends with empty space, and it's just made up of empty space. So if someone just hits space a whole lot of times, or if it's completely blank, in that case, just return. Don't do anything. We don't want to fill our to-do list up with loads of empty to-dos. If that's not the case, we'll create a to-do, and that's going to have a title, which is going to be the text that we've got up above. It's going to have an index of some description. Ooh, we're going to need to work out how that's going to work in a second. I'll think about that in a minute. And it's going to be set with a complete of false. And the new to-dos is going to be a spread of the current to-dos, and then we'll just pop that new to-do in the end. And we'll finish off by setting the to-dos to be the new to-dos. Okay, so just a normal kind of updating of an array. We take the current contents of the array and we spread it. So we're making a copy of the objects that are inside there, and then we are going to add this new one and then push the new array up, and we're ready to go. Okay, we do need to do index. I guess I would maybe have the API do this in future. So for now, I'm trying to decide whether or not just to have it as a let that I'm going to edit or have it as another state variable. Let's have it as another state variable. So to do index, set to do index equals react.useState1, or yeah, let's start at 1. And once we've done this, we'll set to do index as to do index plus 1. We don't do plus plus because we don't want to increment it in place, which is what plus plus does. We're adding 1 on, and then we're ready to go. Okay, so we kind of want to trigger this somehow and then see our to-do. So our to-do list is going to need... Oh, that's the wrong button, Kevin. Our to-do list will need something... Yeah, so let's... Which one we start with first? It's hard to... I'm trying to get the order in my head here. Let's do the button first. That feels like the next natural place to do. So we've got our to-dos. And then what we could do up here is just if we console log our to-dos, then we just see that they're being added in the way we're expecting them to do. Okay, let's go to our button component. And this was an error I came up with earlier. My React or my VS Code, when I used the view and text components, imported them from React Native Web, and I was getting really bizarre errors like, why is this broken? I don't know. And it's because it should be coming from React Native rather than React Native Web. So now this works fine. So I was just a horrible import that I didn't know what was going on. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to have a button here. That's great. And I'm going to make my button with a component called touchable highlight. So this is a wrapper for making views respond properly to touches. On press down, the opacity of the wrapped view is decreased, which you can think as a button is pressing, which allows the overlay color to show through, darkening or tinting the view. It must have one child, not 0 or more than one, so exactly one child. And it's kind of and it has an on press event. So when we do it, we've got an on press event that's going to be activated. Okay, so let's do that. So we want a touchable highlight. And you see how I've gotten this problem? So the first touchable highlights come from React Native Web, but I actually want it from React Native rather than React Native Web. So touchable highlight needs to have exactly one child. I just read that and then forgot about it. So I'm going to put some text in here, which will just say submit. Submit. So it needs an underlay color, which I'll set to like a lighter gray, like EF's. It needs an on press event, which I'm going to set to submit, which is a function I'm going to receive here, which is a prop. I'm going to pass through here. Oops. Cool. So hopefully my app now has a button in it. Let me try. Reload my application. Didn't reload automatically. It does have a button. It's not a very nice button, so let's do. It's kind of. Oh, nope, this way. Oh, is that? I was trying to work out what part of the problem. So I think part of the problem is my green screen. So if I turn off my green screen for a second, you can see how. Yeah, that's slightly better. So yeah, on different angle. Oh no, it was slightly better a second ago. Could turn off all my lights as well. Nope. Nope. Okay, I don't know. Again, need to work on that. Or as Zach says, I'll check with John. So I've got an empty array for my arrays now. I've got a horrible button, so let's just style that button a little bit. And again, we're styling it a lot like we might have styled React components or style components, if that's something that you've done before. But we have to create the style sheet with the create method. and pass in an object. So we can't import a CSS file and manage it that way. We have to have an object that we're tracking and creating in this way. So I want a container, button container, and I'll just align items, flex end for that. Oops, 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 oops. And then I want a button, and my button is going to, how am I going to style my button? Let's give it some height. Let's pass this view style equals styles.button container. Oh, I'm getting complaints in here. If I set the height here to 50, say, in the meantime. Oh, that looks a little bit better already. I'll set this to be style of styles.button. Nice. Okay, so that's starting to look a little bit better. So I've got my height of 50. I'll give it some padding left and right. So padding left. Again, oh, I need to, lots of things to learn here. Thank you for being here and being patient as I'm sort of getting used to doing this with React Native. Okay, I'm starting to get this button styled, which would be great to see, wouldn't it? You can trust me. You can trust me. It definitely is looking better. Everything I'm adding here is definitely making a difference. Margin right. So I'll move it. It's stuck right up in the edge, so I'll move it a little bit over, and then I'll give it a margin top. Margin top. I do love TypeScript. 15 with these autocompletes. I'll give it a bit of a border width. This is really boring. Sorry, everyone. A border color of something like RGBA, like 000 and 0.1. I'll give it justify content to be center, and I will align items center. Okay, so that's helped in that my button now looks like a button. Oh, that looks, ooh, for my green screen. I think it's because my green screen's picking up the green light from the phone, and then it's trying to be clever. So if I can just not expect it, if I do it unexpectedly, you can kind of see it. So I have a nicer button there. That text probably needs a bit of styling as well. So let's call that, we'll call this style, like styles.text maybe. So text, maybe just give it a bit of a bit of a darker color, like or lighter color rather, and make it grey. So all the 6s, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe just a slightly higher weight of 600. Okay. Okay, so I've got a nice submit button, and the hope is now if I type something in here, if I go hello, or like record some videos, typing in, so that's hopefully coming up in my console over here because I'm typing. And now when I press submit, this should have a new array with this new object in it, which has record some video to do index 1. Okay, and then it didn't it didn't reset the state, so we want to fix that in a second. And then last but not least, after record some videos, edit videos, submit. So now hopefully we've got 2 items. We've got record some videos and edit some videos. Have a good index. Okay, so that's doing okay. So a couple of things I noticed in my on submit handler. I would like to reset the text. Set text just be an empty string, be good. That console log is happening. If I move the console log in here, I think rather than the random lots of console logs I was getting a second ago. Okay, so I've got my heading of to-dos. I've got my input, so I can add more to-dos. I've got my button. I now want to be able to see my to-do list, and I've got 5 minutes before I'm going to log off. So I'll give it a go. Interesting. Oh, because I'm in JSX. So if I comment, it's like that, isn't it? Nope. Hey, well, there we go. So let's have a look at to-do lists. And again, we've got that same problem where it's imported from React Web back in the web, but we're gonna manage this. So effectively, I want to pass the to-dos down to here and be able to say that. So as well, let's style a single to-do. So what's a to-do going to look like? So if I have export default function of to-do, I guess we're going to receive the actual to-do itself. To-do. And then we're going to return a view, but from React Native, not React Native Web. Thank you very much. And a text component from React Native. And that's just going to have the to-do.title is the property that we had. Okay, so I'll look at styling in a second. The to-do list then is just going to receive all of the to-dos. And what's it going to do? It's going to map over them, I guess. So it's going to say, hey, got a view, and then we want to map over. So we want to say to-dos.map. And each of those is a to-do. And I want to return a to-do component, Brill, with the to-do equal to to-do. I might need to work on my naming here a little. And then a key, I presume I need a key, which I'll set with to-do.index. Okay. And then in my app, I'm going to pass down the to-dos. To-dos equals to-dos. Right. Don't need to log that out anymore. Let's see how we're doing. Let's refresh our app. It feels like if you are working on a component that it isn't currently watching, the live reload didn't seem to work there. So let's have a look. So record video, submit. Okay, that did work. It's in the list. Edit video. Saying I don't have a unique key, but I do have a unique key. I pretty much said that. And something else. Record video, edit video, watch video. Okay, so I do have a list of unstyled text over here, which isn't great, but it is getting what I wanted to do. So just to recap where we've got to, what we've done, we started by installing Expo. And Expo is a managed workflow to be able to create a new app. And why do we use Expo rather than using anything else? Because it allows us to be able to write native applications in just JavaScript and TypeScript. So we don't need to use Swift or Java. We don't need to dive into the Android Studio or to Xcode to be able to develop our applications. We can do it all from our React application. We can do everything there. Expo, when you get to handles most things, as we chatted about briefly. It has some limitations in that not all of the APIs are available. But it does have, like most of the ones I can imagine being able to, you kind of want. Whoops, where are we? So things like maps and cameras and notifications. There's lots of gyroscopes and cameras. There's lots of stuff that you're able to access through Expo. So you see all of these SDKs are here. The file system, the image picker, all those are being handled in there. But if you get to the point where you think, actually, I would like to, there's something specific on an iOS side or something specific on the Android side that I'd like to be able to manage, you can eject from Expo like you can from Create React App. I think it's Expo in here. Expo eject. Look at that. So you can eject, and what that will do is it's a kind of a one-time only operation, so you can't sort of go back in again afterwards like Create React App. But once you've done it, you're able to have separate directories for iOS and for Android, and you're able to, for those particular functionalities that you need for, I don't know, something really gritty and low level, you can be able to handle that. So we set up Expo, we created our new application, and then we started building our to-do app. And when we're building our to-do app, it's largely just writing React. Okay, so it looks for, if you're familiar with React development, this looks familiar. You've got a component and you've got some props. Some of the gotchas that we kind of had a brief chat about: styling. We can't have CSS style sheets. We have to use stylesheet.create in order to generate that style sheet and be able to create it. And then we pass it through as a style prop to the place where we need it. Components, we don't have, although it looks like the web and looks like React Native, or looks like React rather, it's not rendering to the DOM. So we don't have things like divs, and we don't have inputs and all of the create elements that we have. Instead, we've got this whole new library that we need to learn and enjoy. So view is kind of our div. It's our kind of our basic UI element that we'd wrap things in. Text is a text element. Style sheet we've talked about briefly, and scroll view is just a scrollable div. Okay, so this library of React Native base components, or they call them core components, sorry, is over on reactnative.dev, and you can kind of look into each of those components that we've used. And so then we just built our heading, where we used a view and text with some styles. We built our input, where we used a text input, which is another built-in core component. We added some placeholders. We were called out. I was called out anyway. It's on-chains text, so it's a specific event rather than on-chains that I'm used to from React and everything else. On-chains text is the event I'm looking for in here, and that's going to be able to, I pass it to the setter function to be able to manage it. Again, some more styling. My to-do, no styling done here yet, but that'll be next time. My to-do list, again, it's there and no styling yet. So what's left to do? I'd like a tab bar, so I'd like to be able to filter on to-dos that are done. And then I think I'm there with the static application. And after that, what I would love to do, so my sort of next steps for this are sort of the tab bar. The next thing I'd then like to do is to persist to local storage. That's how I would do this with a web app initially. So I kind of want to, like, what's the React Native story around there? Then once I've done that, it's the API request response cycle. Okay, so we'll spin up a quick node server that will handle our to-dos in the cloud somewhere, or locally on my system somewhere, and then we'll see about posting and requesting, and just see it going through that workflow on there. And then this project, I think, will have taught us hopefully an awful lot. We'll have learned what's going on with React Native. We've learned styling, components, events, some debugging we've already talked about, and API interaction. And then I'll think about the next project I want to learn to build. So that's kind of where we've got to. I will, if anyone is interested, I will create a repo for this. It's already created. Git add dot, and then git commit, add files post stream one. That's me being positive about that. So I'll just create a quick repo, so if you're here and you want it, then you're not going to miss it. So streaming React Native to-do list. Let's create that. Oh, not in there. Sorry, in here. Cool. So I'll drop that link into the chat for anyone who might be interested, which is great. And then I will work out when I'm going to stream this next. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching if you're watching it after the event. And if there's other things that you think that this project, even this single first project, could teach us, maybe I'm not bottoming it out as much as I could, or are there other things that you think it could let me know? And then if you've got any ideas for what our next project could be, then again, let me know. For me, I'm looking at all of the APIs that are, all of the SDKs that are available. And I'm thinking, what could I do with the accelerometer or the contacts? And yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have a think about some of that. Thanks for being here. And I shall see you all at some point, some other place. Bye.